our guest at your school today. She's going to be talking to you guys about what he does, how he likes to spend his time, some of those things. His name is Mr. Richard Schiavo.
We'll say good morning.
Good morning. Wow, you're so well organized. I mean, it's like, I'm so impressed with how everybody's just organized, neat, and safe space and everything. So it's my pleasure to be here. I know that you're in the 6th grade and you've got a lot of studies. I'll tell you just a touch about myself, and then you can ask me some questions, and then we'll do from there. So there's some more students coming out, so maybe I'll just wait a second until they get up. Okay, so as was mentioned, my name is Richard Schiavo. I live in Rainham. I have served in several capacities in the town as an elected official, so I know a little bit about what happens here in town, and I know how well the schools are run. And one of the reasons the town of Rainham is so popular is because of the good schools and good work that you all do. My background, just to make it very quickly, I taught a little bit in my career. I taught at university, which is a little different. You have to go through high school and then you go into college, if you do. And not everybody does, and it's not good for everybody, but I teach at graduate school, which is just up above college, and I found that it's very, very helpful to get the students involved. So that's a little bit about myself. I taught, I understand a little bit about how it works, and I know how much preparation goes into the teaching lessons and so forth, so I have a great respect for that. I'll ask, anybody can speak. I know there's a lot here, so it's going to be very difficult to hear from everybody. I would love to do that, ideally. But let me have somebody ask some questions about me, or about the day, or what you're doing, or life, or I'll go any way you want. So start. Who's going to be brave enough to raise their hand first? That way in the back, and you have to stand so I can hear your name.
How's life?
I'm sorry.
Griffin?
Griffin?
Yeah,
Okay.
why were you elected?
Why was I elected? It's a good question, Griffin. You're good. You get tough questions right out of the gate. Why was I elected? I don't know. I think it was, a desire to serve, and to give back to the community. Being an elected official, there's a lot of work to it. It's not obvious, but there is. And it was a very, very educational experience for me. I learned a lot. Actually, I learned as much serving at the time as a selectman as I did perhaps helping other people. So, I worked to get elected. You have to communicate with people and explain to the people what it is, the citizens who vote. You have to explain to them what it is you think is important, and based on that, they are going to either vote for you and elect you or not vote for you. And so that's the nature of an elected official. Did I answer your question, Irvin?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Who else? Who's brave? Come on now, we got a lot of brave looking people here. You have to ask me questions because I want to know what it is you're interested in. I'm sorry. That's okay. Any other questions? Come on. No, Griffin, you have it. Yes,
Just squeeze by you guys real quick. Come on, you three.
I'll wait here for Lila and Cameron.
hang on.
Quiet, please.
Okay.
That's not an invitation to talk.
Lila and
Keep it
Cameron.
down so everybody can hear.
Stairwell is blocked.
Listen, please.
We're all going this way.
What's your question?
Why?
Do I have a pet? Boy, you really drilled right down to that one. Not only do I have a pet, I have two. And I want to talk to you more about pets. Maybe now's the time, I guess, if you've asked. I have two cats. And we got both the cats from the, I can hear, just because others can't hear so well. So I have two cats. I got them both at the humane, the shelter. And they're a very important part of our family. We love them. And it's kind of an interesting thing. Now, cats are not supposed to be all that smart, I say they are very smart. And the more you give them, the more they give back. And it's not all that different from people, actually. my cats follow me around, they wait for me. This morning, one of my cats, one is close to my wife and the other is close to me. They pick who they want, you know. And the cat that likes me, if I'm late, the cat's all over me, getting me up. So, you know, I mean, the cat's smart. I love animals. I love animals. And as a matter of fact, I'll show you a couple of pieces of art that I brought in that I painted. I painted this coat too, so you know I'm a good painter. Yeah, so that was, this was something that I did purposely though. Oh, I didn't do this by accident. Any other questions? Over this side, we got to get some participation over here, guys and girls. Anybody? There's no, yeah, that's a great point. Listen, guys, there's no wrong questions. You know, that's not. Yes, please. Your name?
Colby.
Colby. Go ahead.
Can you rap?
Can I what? What is rap? You mean rap presents?
Stars!
Huh?
Keep it appropriate.
Okay. I don't know what rap is.
He's talking rap music. He's being a funny guy.
Oh, rap music? No, I'm not into rap music. I go back a little bit. I understand why you might be, though. I like all kinds of music, but and maybe I like it. I just don't know the name, the name that it goes by. I think music's good and so forth. Now, we have a question over here, and then you next. Go ahead, please. Your name?
JC.
I'm sorry.
JC.
JC?
Nice and loud.
JT.
Oh, JT. Okay. Go ahead. Where was I born? I was born in Boston. Where were you born, JT? You were born in Boston too? Maybe we came from the same neighborhood. Over here, please. Your name?
Charlie.
Charlie, go ahead.
Last year.
Yes, I was here last year. Do you remember me?
Yes.
That's, I hope that's good. I'm not sure. Yes, and then I'll get over this. What's your name first?
Miles.
Miles? No, I haven't. I've lived here about 23 years, 22 years. I'm not good at math anymore because I need my calculator, my cell phone, my calculator. About 23 years, but before that, I lived in a lot of places. I was born here, but let me see. I lived in a lot of states. I lived in New York. I lived in Connecticut. I lived in Minnesota. I lived in Illinois. I actually had an office in Germany. I had an office in Sydney, Australia. So I've been around, but it's great coming back here. I love this area. Very, very exciting area in terms of the people and all the job opportunities. Over here, you please. I'm sorry, your name?
Emma.
Say it again.
Emma.
Emma, go ahead.
How many do you have kids?
Do I have kids? Well, my wife does. But yes, we have 3 children. I have an older girl. Now they're old, you know. I mean they're not young. And then we have a set of twins. And the twins are a boy and a girl. And the twins are actually like 11 months younger than the old girl. So, you know, my wife was very busy. It was very busy in the house. But they all live, coincidentally, they all live in this area, which is interesting because they were all born in New York State. But they moved here on their own. And they do very well. In fact, the twins, coincidentally, both live in Franklin, which is kind of amazing in itself, you know. And the older girl lives in North Attleboro. Yes, please. Your name? Okay, yeah, sorry.
What's your name?
What is it? Joshua? Okay.
Do you like Bob Ross?
Do I like what?
Bob Ross.
Bob Roth?
Bob Ross.
Bob Roth. I don't know who that is.
Guys,
Hey, quiet down. Okay, I'm sorry. Who is it?
The famous artist.
He's famous what?
Do you like the famous artist Bob Ross?
Oh, Bob Ross. Oh, I know of Bob Ross. He used to be on TV all the time.
Yeah.
And he used to teach how to paint. Yes, I remember. That's a lot of years ago. They must do repeats on that because it's been a long time since he was around. Yeah, I do know him. And he was very good as a teacher and very good. I'll take one more and then I'll give you some. Go ahead, please. Your name?
My name is Ellen,
Okay, Owen.
and
What's your favorite Andy Warhol painting?
Andy Warhol painting? Geez, you guys, did somebody tell you I'm an artist? It's an interesting question. I'm very familiar with his work. He was very big in the 60s, which was a couple of years before you. I'm not a big fan of his art, to be honest with you. He did all the kind of like, it wasn't so much painting, it was like graphic type of stuff. You know, he took the Coke bottle and made it kind of famous in a few people. But he was very popular in his day. He was quite very popular. I actually worked in New York City when he was out there. I saw him, not to meet him, but he was out and about in New York City. I'm not a big fan of his art, to be honest with you. As far as art goes for me, I've never taken any lessons. I do pretty well at painting, but I do belong to a number of museums. And my experience is, rather than take specific lessons, I look at what other people have done. You know, so I'll go to the Museum of Fine Art, and I'll look at paintings, and I try to get a little close to see how the person did it. I belong to the Brooklyn Museum, the Britain Art Museum, and so forth. So I'm always kind of looking at what other people do, and that's a good way to learn, you know? It's not a bad way to learn, to study what other people are doing, and then to get your own ideas. You may make some changes, but you can really grow a lot by looking at what other people do. Yes, one more.
Another art question.
Go ahead.
It's so you like to paint. Do you do other stuff in art besides painting, like drawing and
Well, drawing and painting, you know, I mean, it's just different media. Media means, you know, you can use a pencil, you can use chalk, you can use oil, you can use acrylic, you can use watercolor, but, you know, they're all art, you know, so it's what we call different media. You know, what the material is that you're using. I mean, art is just, art for me is a hobby. What's a hobby? Who can tell me what a hobby is? Yes, go ahead.
Basically like a job, like a mini job, like a career or doing something in life.
Well, that's good, and I didn't get your first name, I'm sorry. Your first name?
I'm Antonio.
What is it?
He's asking you, Antonio.
Okay, Antonio. Yeah, it's a little less, Antonio, it's a little less structured than what you said, a hobby. But go ahead, John.
It's like one of you think my favorite things to do.
Yes, that's getting closer to it. You know, go ahead. Go ahead. Yes, wow. We're drilling, as we say, we're drilling down. Yeah, a hobby, go ahead. Was that other? Same thing, yeah. A hobby is more something you do because it's relaxing. It's kind of a fun thing to do. You get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And so for me, painting is a hobby. You know, I don't know what other hobbies. Does anybody else have a hobby that? Now, you know, you could say, well, you know, sports is a hobby, but that's more like it's more like an extracurricular activity. It's not something that you could just say, hey, I'm relaxing doing. Go ahead.
build Legos?
Huh?
Building Legos?
Building Legos.
Oh, building Legos? That's a hobby. That's a hobby. That's a good example of a hobby, by the way. Yes. I can't hear something. Drawing is, well, yeah, drawing's a hobby. Hobbies are good, you know. It's when I was young, I don't know what other hobbies there are, but like, I'm sure it's not popular today. A lot of people used to collect stamps, you know, like books of stamps. Do you ever hear of that? I mean, it's probably another word for you. The coin collectors, those were hobbies. But, you know, so I'll show you what painting of mine is a hobby. Here's a question I have of you. I've tried, you know, you've given me a few of your questions. Tell me what your goal is. What kind of goal would you like most to accomplish at this point in your life? I realize things change. You know, they change. You'll be different maybe next year than you are as far as goals. Who can tell me what goal they'd like to accomplish in life? Yes, go ahead.
The best I can be.
Be the best you can be. You can't beat that. That's pretty solid. That gives you a lot of flexibility, that's for sure. Go ahead. Thunderstruck on the guitar, huh? Wow, that's great. That's great. That's something I always wanted. How many people here play a music instrument? Wow. Wow. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's fantastic. I so, stay with me, guys. I so envy you. I always wanted to play a music instrument. That I don't.
Be respectful.
Huh?
Be respectful, I'm just reminding.
I always wanted to play a music instrument, and I never did, so I think you're very lucky, and those of you who play, stay with it. It's a great extra, it's a great skill, and I think it helps you to develop that too. So that's a great thing. Any other goals that you may want to accomplish? Yes, go ahead.
Go to Harvard.
Go to Harvard, huh? That's fantastic. What would you take at Harvard? What would you study? Do you know?
Sports.
Sports at Harvard? I can think of better places than Harvard for sports, but you're going to have to develop that one a little bit. But hey, any other goals that you might have that you want to accomplish? Somebody else? Yes, please. So she wants to become a lawyer, so I don't know, you guys get to know each other, because you may be up there pumping each other up. That's great. You want to be a lawyer? How long have you wanted to be a lawyer? How long has it been since you wanted to be a lawyer? Since 3rd grade? Well, I'll tell you something. Something that I've learned is that the younger you are, that you know what you want to do, there's an advantage to that. It's leverage, you know what I mean? That, you can build on what you want to do. And there are a lot of people that don't. When I graduated from college, frankly, I really wasn't I didn't know that much about what I wanted to do. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm saying there is an advantage to having a little bit of feel for where you want to go, because that kind of directs you to the path you're going to have to take to get there. So something to think about. One more goal. Over here to this one. Huh? An oncologist, wow. She wants to become an oncologist. That's a lot of studying, but I'll tell you, in the medical field, one of my daughters is in the medical field, and oncology is the big thing now. All the new meds are, to treat that kind of an illness. So that is a very big field, and it's apparently going to be very big for years to come. Yes? Rock League there? What is that? Oh, a video game. You want to be a play? Is there a field of that? You can actually become. Hey, sounds like a specialty to me. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Paleontologist.
Oh, paleontologist. What is a paleontologist?
Someone who studies dinosaur bones.
Studies what?
Dinosaur bones.
Dinosaur bones, yeah. Paleontologist. Wow. Does everybody know what a paleontologist is? Yeah. Maybe you should be asking me questions. Okay, here's my next question. Let's see what time. It's so easy to get out of schedule. Who can tell me, who's your hero? Can somebody tell me who their hero is? Yes, go ahead. Who's your hero?
Here's me. Boys and girls.
Michael, why don't I know these names?
Michael Moore is the football player, and they leave the blind side.
Oh, really? So you want to, so he's a football player? And that's what you like to be, a football player? Or not?
Eyes are looking. Eyes are looking. Musa, where are you going?
So he was, what, changed his life around?
Don't touch.
That's a good point. I'll let him come back to that. What's your name? I'm sorry, speak up. Charlie? Oh yeah, Charlie. That's a good point, Charlie. So what you're saying is he turned his life around, but correct me if I'm wrong, if I heard you right. He turned his life around because he hung around with different people. Is that what you said? Yeah. Yeah. There's a great lesson there, and I want to come back to that if we have a few minutes. What's your favorite thing to do? Go ahead, I'm sorry. Well, what you're saying is that's an example of somebody that worked very hard despite the difficulties and made a success of their life. Is that right? That's a good point, really. How often, you all have cell phones, all right? Everybody's got a cell phone, I'm sure. Maybe multiple cell phones. Yeah. What? Slide. What's that? Oh. Okay, guys. Okay, just we're gonna have a few more minutes.
Okay, new girl. Kevin.
Yep. Go ahead.
My house phone was always dead.
Oh, really? You gotta get a portable charger. That's what I use. Okay, well, we're rounding the corner here, and I just wanted to give you a couple of thoughts that I have, okay? First thought I have is this. I would say, without a doubt, having taught myself in various places in the world, the more you read, the better off you are. I mean it. The smartest, most successful people I know are the ones that read a lot. So just take my advice. And it doesn't matter, you know, it could be a novel, it could be fiction, it could be, bless you, it could be nonfiction, it could be a newspaper, magazine, whatever. Reading really develops your mind. That's where you get your vocabulary. I don't know why it's better than watching TV. I'm not a psychologist, but I will tell you, the people that I know that really do well are people that have read a lot. So if you want some piece of advice from somebody who has done a lot, read. The more you read, the better off you are. And there's no qualification here. It really is true. I've seen it all my life. So that's one thing. The other thing I want to leave you with is, and it came up a little earlier in one of the comments, is ask questions. That's how you learn. Ask questions, ask what other people think. Actually, you get two benefits out of it. The first benefit is you learn, but the second benefit is you build a relationship by taking the time to listen to someone. You understand what I'm saying? You know? So it's important. Ask questions, you learn a lot. One of the things we tell people right now I can tell you, one of the things we say is, you know, try to listen twice as much as you're talking. I know I'm not following that today, forgive me. But that's the circumstances we're under. But, you know, as you go through life under different circumstances, let the other person, if you're engaged in a conversation, let the other person talk a little more than you. Really, it's a great way to learn and to develop what you could call a collaborative spirit, leisure. So, ask questions, listen. Does that make sense? I want to hear it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Now, one of the things, I did bring it, so I've got to show you, and then I have one last comment, because I will definitely go over it, I'll move quickly. Okay, so here's a piece of art that I did, okay? And I've got a website, you know, and I paint everything, portraits, you name it, everything. But I paint a lot of animals because I love animals. I love them. I just love animals. They need a lot of support. In many cases, they're helpless. There's a lot of people that don't feel as good about animals as I do. And I'm what you would call an animal advocate. Now, this painting that I did, I was on North Main Street. You know where the police station is, in the fire station? Just a little bit before that, as you head towards the church. And I'm driving by, and this cat was in a tree, way up high in the tree. And so I stopped the car, because, you know, I love animals, and I'm looking, and they're trying to get the cat out of the tree, and what they're doing is throwing a football at the cat. Yeah, exactly. You know, we are simpatico. We're on the same page. You know, I mean, I couldn't believe it. I'm watching this person. I've almost said, I'm watching this person throw a football to knock it out of the tree. And at the time, I was an elected official. I called the town when the people there that do the cemetery have a ladder. And I called him over and I said, please come over and help get that cat out of the tree. Instead of throwing a football at it, you know, knocking it down all the way down. So they did get the cat. The cat got out. Thank God I was driving by. And so I painted this cat. That's how he looked. She looked. I don't know what it was. But that's how the cat looked in the tree. And so that's why I painted it. So to your question about, you know, painting, hobbies and so forth, that's that. So I have one other one. Now this is another dimension at animals. You know, now what is that? That's like I don't know. It's like a swan, or I don't even know what it is anymore. Goose? Goose, yeah, I think so. So what this is if you can see it way in the back, I'm sorry you're ways off, but it's really the mother goose protecting the baby from the snow. And I don't know if you can see the snow, that's what it's meant to be. And you know, what it says to me is that animals, they're conscious, they have feelings, they do. And they have love, and I think that's an expression of love. And so I drew that, I painted that, because I wanted to show that there is that kind of consciousness and feeling, and what we would say in my world, life is very vivid to animals. So that's why I painted it. So that's my hobby, and I'm going to say one last thing to let you go. As you, and I have to look at my notes. It's called Cliff Notes. So my last note is this. And this is probably the most important thing after reading. Surround yourself with positive people. You become like who you hang out with. So hang out with people that have your values, that have the same respect for others that you do, because you know what? The thing that's most important in your life is how you surround yourself with people. Be careful, be sensitive, and of course you be a good example for other people, so they want to hang out with you too if you follow my lesson. You take care. God bless you all.
Thank you.